is a lot of disparity with crime and food and issues of sovereignty and having access to nutritious food and land. And I believe that we're disconnected from the land, we're disconnected from the community, and we're disconnected from each other. There's a lot of things in our community that's deteriorated, and there's a lot of lack of unity in our community. And I would like to see the unity brought back together in our community. And I believe that it's going to be through the land, through us having access to land, through us having access to food, through us being healthy. We can produce healthy children. I believe the disconnect from us is causing, from the land, and just everything is causing imbalance in the community. And as I looked out in my community and I wanted to make a change, I seen empty lots that had been environmentally destroyed and neglected and blighted. And what I desired to do was to see food growing. I believe if we see food, nutritious food, organic food growing in our community, and we eat organic and naturally grown food, that it can produce healthier children and a healthier community. You know, many of our people are dying in our community. They're dying from gun violence. They're dying from cancer. They're dying from heart disease, diabetes, complication. And I just would like to see a revitalization come from the people that live here in Homewood. I have generations that live here in Homewood. My dad was a landscaper, a gardener. He cared for a lot of the lots and the parks. He worked for the city of Pittsburgh 22 years, and then he had a landscaping business, and he believed in the community. And so today, in the spirit of my father, in the spirit of my mother and grandmother, and the people who came before me, who I stand on their shoulders, I just want to just bring Homewood back and bring unity back to the people in Homewood, and bring our community back and strengthen each other, you know, and stop competing and just begin to work together collectively as a people. You know, I honor the Black Panthers movement and everything that they did, but there was a strength and a resilience in the Black Panther Party. There was a strength and a resilience in Malcolm X. There was a strength and a resilience in Martin Luther King, and that's something that I look out today in my generation, and I don't see that. We've become complacent to the issues that's infecting our community and impacting our community. And one of the issues is having access to Karen Washington in the pink and Suzanne Babb in the blue. And I'm just so honored to have these ladies here, and I'll just let them take over and introduce what they do as well.
So, hey everyone, how you doing? And thank you so much for inviting us. We're from New York City, and like Sonia said, we're Buzz Black Urban Growers. We were one of the first groups that had the Black Farmers in Urban Garden Conference 2010 and 2011, and it was the emphasis, what's for dinner, and it brought to the forefront the fact that, you know, the question we asked, where are the Black farmers? And we looked on the census and found that our numbers are dwindling. At one time, we fed this nation, we fed this country. We had millions and millions of acres, and now we're down to thousands of acres. And in our own state, New York State, which had 55,000 white farmers and their partners, we found that in New York State, we only have 100 or so Black farmers, and less who are women. And so when people start talking about sustainable agriculture and agriculture in general and the food system, we look that we're not in it. We're talked about when it comes to heart disease and statistics. We're talked about for people to get their grant money on us, but as part of the solution, we're not there yet. So there was a wake-up call for us to start talking about, first of all, our tradition and our heritage as African American people that grew food, and our disconnect to the food system now. Because when we can ask a child where your food comes from and they tell you it's a supermarket, something is wrong with that. if we look in our supermarkets and we find different varieties of food with the name organic or the name strawberries, you look in the label, there's no organic, no strawberries around, there's something wrong with that. When we go into our food system and or our grocery stores and we find fruits and vegetables that are sprayed with pesticides and insecticides and GMOs and we don't know what's going, something is wrong with that. So we're out here as a group to expose the racism that's in the food system, to expose the injustice around the food system, but also to sort of network and showcase the powerful work that Black people are doing in the solution of food sovereignty, and the solution of poverty, and the solution of hunger.
So overwhelming, and just hearing all the stories of everyone in the work that they're doing, I'm constantly inspired by this work. I'm from Canada originally, and I have a food background in my family. My father grew up on a farm. My maternal grandfather was a sugarcane cutter. When my father came to Canada, he worked on peach tree farms. So there's been that history that I didn't even recognize when I became interested in this. I did my master's in public health last year, and one of the things I realized in a class of 400 people, there was, maybe 20 Black folk. And so when we're talking about the health disparities, hypertension and diabetes, the things that affect our communities the most, we're not there. We're not given the education and the skills and the knowledge or access to the funds to deal with these problems. So I kind of come to bugs from a health perspective, and one of the things that I found that was really inspiring to me, and one of the main issues for bugs, is that there are people out there doing this work already. Just hearing the stories around here, everyone, master gardeners, they have the knowledge already. What we can do is help to connect people and help to connect them to the resources. Through our two conferences, we had people coming from all over the country, and we've had the ear of the mayor of New York City, of the governor, wanting to work with us, wanting to partner with us, giving us opportunities for grants. So for us, that's the best way that we can help people, is like, what do you need? How can we help you? Who can we connect you with? So I hope that we can do that here tonight.
And I just wanted to say thank you all, especially thank you, Sonia, for really bringing us here. It's such an honor to be here, to hear your stories. And this is a lot of the work, as Suzanne and Karen were saying, that we're doing. It's just helping all of us to connect to each other. Because as Sonia was saying, one of the other challenges, in addition to lack of access to healthy food and the racism, and to just the structural racism that exists on all levels that we're trying to combat and deal with, one of the things that we are also concerned about is really bringing our communities together so that we can share with each other, so that we can have dinners together and really revive that spirit, that resilience that Sonia was just mentioning. So that's a big part of the work as well. I'm originally from Missouri and grew up in old farmhouses that used to be owned by old family farmers that went out of business because of the whole drive for farmers to grow big or get out. So I grew up in a community where a lot of the farmers they just disappeared. And it's kind of ironic to me because I didn't really ever think about farming or growing food until I moved to New York City about 11 years ago and got involved with some of the food justice work there and started gardening at a place called Taqua Community Farms in the Bronx. And so that's really where a lot of my knowledge about farming has been coming from, is from these urban settings that were started by people who were sharecroppers or their families were sharecroppers and started farming in the city. And so I've been learning a lot about that, and I'm particularly interested in the capacity building aspect of the work that everyone's doing. And as Suzanne was just saying, there's so many of us out there doing amazing work and projects, but we're not the ones that are being highlighted in the New York Times and things like that. It's these other particular groups. And so what I'm really interested in is helping us connect on that level to not only just be growing food, but rethinking our whole food system to recreate jobs around that, because it's something that would be really easy to do, but because of regulations and structures and things like that, it's preventing us from doing that. We can be completely self-sustaining in our own communities if we just start changing those legislations, start looking at these opportunities, not as just growing healthy food, but also growing healthy communities and economically viable communities around around us. So that's one of the things that I'm bringing and what I focus on.
Look back in New York City, we had over 15,000 vacant lots, mostly in low-income neighborhoods and neighborhoods of color. And it was those people who stepped forward to take those lots to defeat crime, to defeat really a lot of the poverty, the garbage that was setting in, and taking back and owning that sort of land. And that's why I say they call them community gardens, because it's the community. And so we have been working over the last, I would say, 20 years, working with New York City to preserve community gardens. And right now, across this nation, everyone is on the bandwagon from the White House on down about urban agriculture and the need to grow food. But what we need to do as people that live in urban areas, we need to make sure that these community gardens and urban farms are preserved. Because right now it's a hot topic. Everyone is on the bandwagon. And so even in New York City, even though we don't have preservation per se, we have new rules and regulations, which I tell is just as good as the present administration. Because let me tell you folks, right now the economy is teeter-tatting about, almost on the upswing. And pretty soon people are gonna start looking at those lots for development. And so we as a people are gonna have to step forward, and because the people are really serious about urban agriculture, really serious about stemming the tide of poverty and hunger, then urban agriculture, community gardens, and urban farms have to be in the mix of urban renewal. And so as we go around the country, we tell people to make sure that there is land preserved for these urban farms and urban projects, because if we don't, those lands are going to be taken away from us and they're going to go into development. So the iron is hot now. It's time for people to talk about to their municipalities, to talk to their political people. Right now, next year we're about to have a new election, and right now we are challenging our political people. You want to run for office? Then what's your stance on food? What's your stance on poverty? What's your stance on urban agriculture? You want our vote? Then you have to align yourself with what the needs of the community needs be. And this is the time now. It's an election year in a lot of states. And so we're serious about the work that we're doing. We must make sure that the politicians who work for us, and not vice versa, if they want our vote, then we have to make sure that we have spaces for growing food.
Before they hired me, they had other problems with the community, like stealing the foods, different things like that. But so the job was pulled from me. I was very well, again, I had to go to another source like welfare, SNAP, and I was very surprised because I said, wow, this jobs was supporting green jobs.
Yeah.
So mothers like myself don't have to go out and be on welfare, things like that. And it came to me saying, well, we're all going to volunteer. But I've been volunteering, and I don't have a problem with volunteering, but I have 3 children. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like I can be down there and volunteer because, again, that's who I am. That's how I was blessed with the opportunity. But again, not to have now nothing, like I was just like, wow. So I asked y'all bugs how to even ask that organization, what's up? You know, why was this a job being taken from, first of all, a single mother who's in this community, brought so many quality things to that garden. People came to the garden because, again, and I say white and black, because they seen a mother out there. They didn't see all these random different folks who don't live in our community there. So it's like it stirred up a lot of things that people now who see me on a bus or see me different places ask me because they know my passion, and that's where it began. What's going on? Like, should we even fool with that garden now? Like, so again, because they don't understand what was the dynamics, because before me, there was another mother. She wasn't single, but she was married, but there was another mother who just left. And I actually recently just ran into her, and she was telling me some things. So I asked y'all, bugs, how to present this idea as far as like, this is where it started. This don't take the jobs from, again, mothers who want to do this work, who there's not really black mothers who's going to get out there from sun up and sun down to do the work. Why was this job taken away with no job to be left to go to welfare, do something like that, and versus, you had a job, you had something. And again,
This is our garden.
Hey, Sonya, when you,
Sonia's watering the garden.
when the news station came out? What news station? I was asking, they told me it was on the news.
Who said it was on the
No,
news?
that's what he
They said it was going to be on the news. I didn't see it on the news.
I said, what
This
station?
is our garden, the Homeward Agricultural Project.
I was probably going to be until 11 times.
These are some of the things that we're growing. We got sunflowers. We got tomatoes. We got red cabbage. More tomatoes. We got regular cabbage. We got green beans. We got all kinds of stuff that we're working on, trying to create here.